Hi, everyone. Georgina Komar here with Perry Mardon and Gabrielle Denman, here to talk today about another pattern called the good worker pattern. So this pattern is the type of pattern where a business owner is used to working really hard in their business. They've got a real good sense of determination. They really want their business to succeed, and they more than likely come from a background where hard work was highly valued. A particular client comes to mind, Perry, who was from more of a rural background where the real hard-working ethos was really not only necessary, but really highly valued by the farming community and within the family environment itself. So there was no slacking off or taking a day off here and there. If you weren't seen visibly working for this particular entrepreneur, even though he may have had other people on his team to help get all of the jobs done, he still felt that there was a part of him that felt that if he wasn't seen working really hard, that his team, his staff would look at him as a slacker. And he never, in his mind, would want to be looked at or seen as not pulling his weight. And then, of course, there was also another fear that he had, that they would see that he didn't appear to be working hard, and that would give them permission to be able to take it easy. One of the things about this kind of entrepreneur is it's almost as if they see themselves as equal to everyone else in their business.
Yeah, it's unfair.
And while that sounds like, quite a heartwarming thing, it's a real family environment. I was actually working with a client last week who has been having challenges with a particular, keeping a particular role filled just because of this reason, that they wanted to have the environment feel like it was family. And by having that family environment, there were no boundaries, and staff sort of just started to act like the entrepreneur did. So when you have this hard or good worker pattern, there is this real strong tendency to treat everyone the same, or at least to act in the same way that you want your staff or your team to act.
Yeah, in Australia, it's an Aussie mate. I'm going to be in the trenches with you, and if I'm not, if I'm above you, you might all think I'm a terrible, horrible person. I'll think I'm a terrible, horrible person. By the way, Georgina, you can see me smiling as you're talking. I just love this subject. I've just seen it damage so many business owners, but I'm smiling. I'm going to say one thing, Georgina. There's a question, actually. So these business owners don't look at the swell charts in the morning and go, okay, it's going to be offshore at 2 o'clock. The swell's going to be perfect, so I'm going to go surfing at 2 o'clock for 2 or 3 hours. See you, team. They're not doing that, are they?
No, they're not, because to them, oh my God, because they feel as if they're on par, because this also can play into the pattern we spoke about earlier, this need me pattern, need to be liked, or a people pleasing pattern can also be part of this dynamic within this good worker. But it's really an internal thing where the business owner themselves feels bad.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we really only have our own feelings, what's going on inside of ourselves, to be able to experience the world or to move in this world with. So if we have this pattern that says, unless we're working as hard as everybody else on our team, then we're not good enough, we're not going to want to stop working hard because we still want that feel-good feeling.
Correct. Two things, by the way. Everybody, two things here. They feel guilt if they're going to go and take time off. They feel guilt. Now, what's the problem with that? I'm in business, not only just because I love this work, and you can tell we're really passionate about it, so we like to share it with people and help people with it, but I'm in business because I want a good lifestyle. I want to be able to go surf. What's the point of me being in business if I can't go for a surf this afternoon? And then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day if I want. What's the point in being in business? I might as well go get a job. and drive into the city instead of living on a beach. So again, you can see two things. This guilt undermines them having a really good life and enjoying the rewards of being a business owner. The second thing, which is we're going to dig into, the second thing is this always undermines working smart. So anyone with this pattern will unconsciously set things up so they work hard, because their validation and self-worth is based on working hard. So that's why this thing that Georgina's talking about is such a problem. I have seen people, I've actually worked with people and got to the point where they only have to work in their business 3 hours a week and this pattern's grabbed them. And they have to keep coming. They can't have a good life and do what they love. Now, just quickly, I'll share a story that I'm handing back to Georgina. I learned this one really, really well. Because I grew up in a rural, hard-working environment. And growing up, if you didn't work hard, you were a slacker, and the devil made use of idle hands. And you should hear what the people I grew up with said about anyone that wasn't working. They're a bum. They're an absolute bum. If someone's lazy, it's like they've committed murder. They're lazy. Now, anyway, so I grew up in that environment and my passion's for surfing. And so I remember I'd be surfing at 12 o'clock during the day. I'm making a joke of this, but this is actually quite serious. This is how I learned about these things. I'd be surfing at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. And I'd come out of the water and I'd feel guilty. Like, oh, shit, I've done something wrong. You can't have fun on Wednesday at 12 o'clock because you're supposed to be working. Okay, so then I moved to Hawaii where I actually met entrepreneurs who had just built the most amazing lifestyle, and I was hanging out with them. They had a lot of money, a lot of free time. They were surfers, and I'd hang out with them. But I'd still observe this guilt that I'd been conditioned to have, that somehow I wasn't supposed to be enjoying life so much because other people are working right now, and you should be working. Now, I am joking and making light of it, but that's when I learned, look, it doesn't matter where I go in the world, I just carry this conditioning with me. And I realized at that point that if I wanted to enjoy my life and if I wanted to work smart and I wanted to enjoy the fruits of business, I need to overcome this hard-working pattern. Now, you are going to have to work hard as an entrepreneur. We're not saying that you won't, but what you've got to understand is what is necessary hard work versus if you get a lot of validation from working hard and you grew up in that environment, you will unconsciously undermine working smart, because working smart means freedom, and freedom based on your belief structures as a hard worker will mean that you will have time off and can enjoy yourself. So you're going to feel guilt and you're going to feel wrong, and you may not even know this is going on within you, but you'll make sure you've got to keep working.
One of the things that is really interesting about that, Perry, and that makes this pattern in particular, one of the more challenging patterns of them all, is that it's really a tribe-based mentality. So when you're talking about the guilt, I'm thinking about, I've had so many clients with this pattern, and one of the hardest things to break through or to bring an awareness to is that it's a really deeply held family belief, and then it can be a society and a community belief. And it's really deeply ingrained. So what you're saying is, I'm thinking of people that I've got rural clients as well, and they've had families that come from farming backgrounds, or even people that don't. I've got people that are, Jewish, so they've got really tightly held tribes. And if you've got a tightly held tribe, and they say to you, you must work hard to earn your money, then for you to go out and be an entrepreneur and create the life and the lifestyle that you want, you're actually going against the belief systems of everybody around you. And that's one of the hardest things that you can kind of move through. And without an awareness, you'll keep bringing yourself back to working hard, because once you start being successful and you start working, instead of 40 hours a week, you're working 30 or 20, suddenly the tribe's turning around and going, hey, you're not a good person because you're not working hard. So you really need to have an awareness of all these different parts, because the tribe's going to come at you. They're not going to come at you I'm just talking figuratively, but you really need to know what's happening around you, because the beliefs are so tightly held around money and success in this good worker pattern.
Yeah.
That's true, Gabrielle. And I think one of the things too that it's important to touch on with this pattern is most entrepreneurs that have the good worker pattern, and because there's this, what I would call this familial environment that they create at times, it's really key to recognize if you have your staff working at their best and you're working at your best, the tasks that you're working on are going to be different. Your good worker should be coming out when you're working on your business, not in your business at the same level that your team and that your staff are working. If you do that, if you're trying to work as the entrepreneur and working on the business, but you're still a part of what's going on in the business so that you're seen as this good worker, it's going to lead you to burnout. It's you're not going to be able to, as Perry said, you're not going to be working smart. You're going to be working hard. And how many new ideas or good quality ideas can you bring to your business if you're too busy in this good, hard-working sub-personality? You're not giving yourself that time to process and to just be and to allow those ideas that may come up for you to, be mulled around in your mind and put to use and come up with some new strategies. You need that time. If you're working all the time in and even on your business, you're not going to be able to have that space and that energy and that imagination for real entrepreneurial strategies or brilliant ideas to come up and serve your business.
What Georgina's talking about is really right on the money. And it's funny because as both Gav and Georgina are talking, I'm going, ping, ping, yep, I remember that. Got to talk about that because this particular pattern just impacts every area. So I just come back to what Georgina said. The challenge for someone with this particular pattern, first of all, they don't even know they've got the pattern most of the time. They will do what we call dumb work unconsciously, okay? And I believe a lot of this comes from, we'll play around with this a little bit. So, when you're growing up, when I was a young fella, I would go and work on farms. And that's what I would do. And at the end of the day, whether my bosses loved me or not, all related to one thing. My bosses loved me when I did what, Gav and Georgina?
When you did good work.
Yeah. If you work hard, so if I'm doing hay bales, right? Barry's hay, which I loved, by the way, because it was very physical, it's outdoors. And so here I've done 13 hours a day, and the bosses love me because I'm strong and I'm fit and I'm loving it. But I'm a workhorse to them. It's like Perry's a great workhorse, so he's got validation. Now, most of us grow up in experiencing that. As we come up through jobs, we're getting validated when we're hard workers, when we're pack horses, okay? And I use that metaphor for good reason, but this comes back to what Georgina was saying. When as an entrepreneur, your greatest asset to the business is thinking and strategy and tactics. And so if you've grown up where you get validation from working hard, you'll find as a business owner, you won't take the time out to work on strategy. So as an example, you might be better off taking 2 or 3 hours out a day and going to the cafe and doing strategy work and thinking work. But you won't allow yourself to do that because on an unconscious level, you'll think, well, that's not hard work. I got validated growing up because I was a good pack horse, so I'm going to stay a good pack horse. Okay, so that's probably a good metaphor for what you were explaining, Georgina, wouldn't you agree?
Totally.
Yeah, totally. Like, did you want to say something else about that? I know you can tell I like this subject. It's a subject that's close to my heart.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, even taking it outside the whole rural environment, even if you've worked in any other environment, say in retail or corporate or anything else where you may have worked with someone else supervising you or someone else running the business per se. We get that validation, we get those pay rises, we get given more responsibility, which makes us feel even more special the more we do. I mean, I worked with a client 2 weeks ago, and he was coming to a point where he was going to be offered a partnership in the firm he works with, but he knows that the caveat with that is that he's been told 7 days a week, you will be working 7 days a week. Yeah. And is that something that, that's something that he's being rewarded? He's becoming a partner, and of course the financial reward will come with that. But it's just totally, validating him for being this good, hard worker. And he has to make a decision. It's a very big challenge for him.
Yeah, they're asking to be a pack horse, aren't they? Same thing.
Well, just more highly paid, and a pack horse that never stops. Doesn't matter if there's a weekend or not. So it's a thing when people decide, oftentimes it is one of those things that people will decide they want to be an entrepreneur because they don't want someone telling them they have to do that. But that doesn't take away the fact that they've probably already developed these patterns.
Yeah, and this is the problem for people, right? Because it brings me back to something that Gab said before, but it's become such an unconscious pattern, and the entire society or what you've grown up with tends to reinforce it. And here's one of the ways you'll see this playing out, okay? I'll go and work with a business owner and I'll say, well, you need to delegate that, right? You need to delegate that. They're doing some low-dollar productive activity. And you look at them, right? Now, they're like, what do you mean? Well, and the basic premise, by the way, is as not even just as an entrepreneur, but everyone on your team should be in their highest dollar productive zone. So if I'm opening the mail or I'm doing the book work, right, that's a low dollar productive activity because I've got other roles that I need to be playing that make me far more money and make the business far more money, which supports everyone involved with our business. So I would be sabotaging the business if I was working in low dollar productive activities. But anyone with this hard worker pattern, they well, why would I give it to someone else? I can do it.
Hey, Perry, that reminds me of something. I've actually had a client recently as well, and she's going for some pretty lofty goals in her business. And so now that things, the things have gotten really good, so we've got her to a really good balance and a really good lifestyle. And we've got it all systemized so that she's only doing X amount of things per week. And she came to me and she's like, Gab, but I feel like I need to work harder. And she'd come to me, a couple of weeks in a row. It just doesn't feel right. I just feel like I need to work harder. And it came down to the fact that she couldn't handle the calmness and the peace and doing more things with her family. But she was looking at the amount of hours that she worked rather than the dollars increasing. So we had to shift her viewpoint and belief system that all we need to look at is whether your dollars are increasing each week. If your dollars are increasing each week, we keep things exactly as they are. If it goes backwards, then cool, let's look at you being a hard worker again. But as we move forward and get more profits, we're just looking at that, and that's it. That's our determination of success.
Yeah.
Not hours, it's profit.
Interesting what you're saying, by the way, because I think that and I'm just finishing off, because even before you said something that sort of symbolizes the same thing. You see, none of these clients that Gab's talked about or Georgina's talked about or I've talked about even know they have this pattern until they're working with us as coaches. So we're able to shift their businesses to the point where suddenly they've got more free time and they've got money. And it's only then that they come face to face with this pattern, because suddenly they've got free time. And rather than, what I'd be doing, if I've got free time, what do I love? What am I passionate about? I want to go spend more time with my wife. I want to go spend more time with my kids. I want to go spend more time surfing. They're not doing that. So once the coaches work with them to get this freedom, then all of a sudden they feel how empty they are, or they feel the compulsion to go and work and keep working. And that's when they address it. A wise thing to do, by the way, would be to address that far earlier in your business life then once you get to the point that you've got some freedom, you want to do it as early as possible to see if this pattern is undermining you or not. Anyway, that's it for the...
Good worker pattern.
Thanks, Georgina.